Hello everybody, this is Gregory with 5 Minute Catholic Apologetics, where 5 minutes of your time may get you to the divine. Today we're going to talk about a pope who preached heresy. And the papacy is still around. Now, before we begin, let's start with a prayer. Nomine Patris et Filii et Spiritus Sancti. Amen. Gloria Patri et Filii et Spiritui Sancto, secut erat in principio et nunc et semper et in saecula saeculorum. Amen. So let's go back in time. Here and there I like to do these history episodes. I have one on the Inquisition, one on the Crusades, one on the Christiana War, and so forth. So we're going to go back to the 14th century. And the 14th century was a somewhat turbulent time for the church and really Europe in general. The 14th century was not kind. The 13th century was actually kind of the peak of medieval scholasticism and erudition. 14th century had a lot of plagues and political strife. And part of it was the papacy. The papacy was in France for a variety of political issues we're not really going to deal with. It essentially became kind of under an undue influence of the French monarchy. So it was moved to Avignon, which I've been to, by the way. It's a nice little town. The papal castle there, the palace, is gorgeous. It's really pretty. And we had a pope, John the 22nd. So this is early 1300s. And he went against the ordinary magisterium of the church and said that the beatific vision was not something that all people, when they got to heaven, saw. Now, the beatific vision is essentially being in the presence of God, being kind of just in the presence of God. Beatific, beautiful, right? So it's just being in the presence of God. Now, a lot of people, when kids, I said, what's heaven like? They want to hear that we're going to be eating ice cream all day and we're not going to be eating anything in heaven. But it's just like, oh, you're going to be caught up with God. Like, what? But so this is part of the ordinary magisterium. So the ordinary magisterium always taught that even if you went to purgatory, once you got out of purgatory and you were in heaven, you would be in the beatific vision, even before the second coming of Christ, when our bodies were resurrected with our souls. John the 22nd taught that no, not everybody saw the beatific vision prior to the resurrection of the body. And this was against the ordinary magisterium. Ordinary magisterium, as opposed to, let's say, a teaching of the magisterium that was promulgated dogmatically by an encyclical or something like that, it was something that the church has always maintained since the beginning. And yes, we do have records, we have writings and so forth. People are like, we didn't have any writings. How do we know what the early church? Guys, look, you can read the Didache. You can read Clement of Rome's letters. You can read Justin Martyr's letters. There's tons of stuff you can read back in the day. Augustine, the patristic fathers, we have tons of their writing. The Gregories, there's tons of stuff that we have. Either way, so the ordinary magisterium taught this. John the 22nd was like, yeah, no. So he preached in 3 different sermons in his time in Avignon, heresy. He was a formal heretic. He was not a material heretic because he honestly knew. We have the episode on the different types of heretics there are. Material heretics can theoretically claim invincible ignorance. Like if I don't believe in purgatory, the perpetual virginity of Mary, or the sanctity of life, or something like that, because maybe you're just not properly informed. As the Pope, he was properly informed, so he was a formal heretic. Did the church fall apart? Was the church in apostasy? No. So what happened? Like all popes, aside from this Benedict so far, he dies. The next pope, Benedict XII, within a year of being elected, comes out and says essentially, and he comes encyclically, dogmatically, he says that the beatific vision is for those who are in heaven, just their souls, and when their bodies are reunited as well. So he officially corrects the previous pope's heresy, and dogmatically with the rubber stamp, even though the ordinary magisterium always taught it, rubber stamp said, this is it, this is our teaching on the beatific vision, boom, scoreboard. And it's never brought up again. No one ever questions it again. So what's the whole moral of this story? Take a deep breath, guys. Look, I even have one episode here, I think out of the 500, about Francis teaching something heretical or saying something that seems to be against the magisterial teaching of the church. I posted a poll here. Do you think the church is in apostasy or in a rough patch? The majority of you guys said a rough patch, so it's good to see that balance. But I do have episodes here cautioning, I would say maybe the more mad trads, the obsessed trads who are obsessed with apocalyptic content. Church is in apostasy, the church is in apostasy, the church. Man, you don't know that. The church has been through rough times. Look, we had a pope who taught heresy. We somehow got through that. The Romans have that phrase. You have a fat pope, you have a skinny pope, then you have a fat pope. It's like, how many popes have we gone through in our lifetime? I mean, I've gone through at least, I was born under Paul. So at least, 5, 6? Okay, look. Don't worry about this stuff. Be not afraid. Think of Matthew 6. Just calm down. Work on your own salvation. Work on your own prayer life. We've had bad popes. We've had sinful popes for sure that have, been not doing the best things. And we've even had popes that have taught heresy. Okay, it's going to get corrected. Okay, so have some faith. Have some faith. Don't panic. The church has been in this situation before. All through church history, starting with the apostles. We've had some shady characters in the curia, the proto-curia. We'll be fine, guys. Just pray for the church. Pray for the pope. Pray for everybody. We will get through this. And this is just an example from history of heresy being taught, and we somehow got through it. Like we're here 700 years later. Guys, post in the comments. I'd love to hear from you. Hit the notification, subscribe, and share button. Share with others. Until next time, take care. God bless.